Hi, my name is Brescian and I don't play Revenant. That's why I'm going to show you what you really need to know before learning the character. So, this is the build that I recommend you use to learn. We are going to use Revenant's Goblet, which you can buy from the little jar. For the relics we have Knight of the Fathom, which is an augur reward, is going to give increased maximum HP. Your flask also heal your teammates, and the items compare effect to all nearby teammates. They have to be close to you for this to work. On the second relic we have Grand Burning Sin, which you can buy on the special store after your first enhanced boss. This is going to give us increased rune acquisition for self-analyze. This is pretty strong. If 3 people are running this, you are going to be level 15 in no time. Then you get a Stone Sword key, because you know most people use the yellow relic for the meta. And rune discount for shop purchase while on expedition. For Revenant, it's going to be good if you buy these shards that you need for the FP. And for the third relic, we have Dark Knight of the Wise, which you can buy after beating the Enhanced Sentient Pest. This relic is the strongest one on this build. You're going to be using this one even after you actually learn the character and the game. This is going to give you increased maximum FP, FP restoration upon successive attacks, and max FP permanently increased after releasing Sorcerer's Rise mechanism. Now let's move on to the weapons. I'm gonna hold your hand while I say this. No, big number doesn't mean big damage, for you at least. And also no, nobody thinks it's funny anymore. The random Revenant that keeps the good loot from the others is not cute. This is something really important and applies for every single champion. Most likely you already heard about these specific weapons, which are the Goated Sword and the Halo Scythe, which are going to scale with Faith. These are the only 2 weapons in the game that scale with Faith and that are going to be good for Revenant. This doesn't mean that you have to use them, this doesn't mean that you are going to find them in the first place. So most of your runs, maybe, you are not going to be able to find any of this. What you are going to get since you start the match is going to be the Revenant's Cursed Claws. Now, this thing is going to be one of the strongest options that you have for your own character to keep on your inventory. In my own personal opinion, you should keep this all the time, because this is literally the best weapon in the game to pick up your friends. There is a video that Solid Witch made talking about this. I'm going to link that on the description so you can watch it. Now, for the secondary, I'm going to mention the seals, which are another thing that is going to be RNG dependent. You're not always going to find the same things or the same incantations. And in this case, I'm going to separate this in 3 different categories, which are going to be fast, slow, and effect. For the fast one, we have what you should give a priority to, because this is going to allow you to attack the enemy from a certain distance, and it's going to be fast, so you won't be in very much danger when you're using this. The second one is going to be the slow one, which you should only use when you have a real opening on the enemy. Either the enemy was stunned or the stance was broken. Whatever you see as an opening, you are going to use your slower incantation, which is usually also going to give a lot more damage than the fast one. And then we have the effects, which are going to be more like defensive sort of incantations. In this case, I'm going to show you one that is going to work on your weapon. You activate this and it's going to give poison to your claws, so you're going to have the poison effect. There are lots of incantations you can get, boosts for your teammates also. Now let's talk about the most important thing about the equipment, which is how you are going to administrate your stuff. Why is this important? Because most of the time, if you're new to the game, you are just going to totally crash thinking on which hand you have what and which button you have to press. So I think that you should always have the same type of stuff on a very specific hand with a very specific button. In this case, I'm going to show you like the best case scenario. Let's say that you just got the best seals that you can get on the game. Well, these are not the best, but this is what I like to use. So, on my right hand, I'm going to have my Revenant Scores clause, which I'm usually going to be two-handing, just so I can revive teammates faster and I can also hit faster. And also on my right hand, I'm going to have Lightning Spear and Discus of Light, Lightning and Holy. So basically, if the enemy is weak to Lightning or resistant to Holy, I'm going to change to my Lightning Spear and I'm going to use it. You see, this is fast. I can charge it or I can use it in a really fast way from a very safe distance. If the enemy turns to look at me, I can just take any sort of defensive posture or make some distance. Same case for Discus of Light. This is going to be a fast attack, but I'm going to be using my R1 to it. So I won't be having any trouble with it. Now, on my right hand, I'm always going to have my slow attacks. In this case, I was lucky enough to get two of them, two of my favorite ones. The enemy is stunned, I have an opening, whatever. I'm going to use my slow but heavy attack. Wait, the enemy is Libra. Libra is weak to Frenzy. I've never seen that actually, but yeah, whatever. I'm going to use this slow attack that I can stop at any moment that I want to stop. I just give myself madness because I wasn't paying attention. Cool. And on the third slot, I like to have an effect or another slow attack. That's whatever. So every time I'm going to start a fight, we just found a ruin that has frost, whatever. I'm going to use this. Then I'm going to two-hand my main weapon and I'm going to attack the enemy. You see? So it is important that you know and that you learn to have some logic behind how you are going to position all of these things. Now, I'm showing you what may be the best case scenario, for me at least, because I think this will be really comfy for my brain to think. So I will want things to be like this all the time. Having two fast seals and two slow seals that are going to give heavy damage and some status for my weapon, or maybe defense for myself or my teammates. Now, this is not going to happen. Most likely you are going to find lightning if you're lucky and unendurable frenzy, because sometimes I find that shit. So then you're going to find some other armaments that are going to have very different passives to it. This is the second most important thing. Aside from the organization of your equipment, you need to give priority to actually useful stuff. Yes, the FP is necessary for Revenant, using stuff like reduces FP cost from skills or whatever. That sounds cool. But if you're not actually giving a good use to the character, that is not going to work very well for you. So I think that as a beginner, you should always prioritize something that is called damage negation. So these slots that are going to be free, 1, 2, and 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 even. Maybe you don't even find any good seal, or you never were able to loot properly. But you did find some other weapons. Prioritize damage negation. Taking damage boosts damage negation. That is not a very good idea because you're not going to be able to take a lot of damage, but it's cool to have. Damage negation at low HP, it's cool to have. Damage negation at full HP, it's also cool to have. So prioritize these things. This is going to give you more survival, which is what you are going to need. And the last thing that I want to mention are going to be her skill and ultimate, and also her passive. She has necromancy. This basically means that every time that you or one of your familiars, which are your summons, gets rid of an enemy, that enemy has a chance to spawn as a ghost that is going to fight for you. This ghost is usually useless, but it's something cool to have there, of course. Now, you have a certain control to summon 3 different familiars. The first one is Helen, the second one is Frederick, and the third one is Sebastian. Look, Sebastian is going to be something that I consider useless most of the time, but I think that you can have actually a pretty frenetic sort of playstyle with Revenant. Let's say that you're attacking this thing over here. I invoke Sebastian over there, but then you kill it. Then you have to attack this one. Then I'm going to quickly change my target. And I'm going to summon Sebastian again, but closer to the other enemy. You understand my point? So, Sebastian doesn't have to be useless. Now, Frederick, he's going to be another big character. He actually has mobility. So he's going to be able to get rid of enemies faster than Sebastian, in a way. Same thing applies for him. If you want him to attack something that is far away instead of something that is going to be like useless, just resummon that thing. Eventually he's going to catch up and he's going to tap what you want him to attack. And the same thing goes for Helen. If you need Helen, she's a fast character. You usually need her for these small enemies. You can use her pretty well for that. Try to always administrate that side of the character, which is going to give you some sort of sense on what are your priorities on a match. And last thing that I want to talk about, it's the ultimate, which is Immortal March. This is going to make you, your teammates, and your familiars immortal for a certain time. Now, I think that most people save this a lot. I personally like to spam that shit. Like every time I start some sort of fight, usually you're going to be fighting gals on mini bosses on the expeditions. The time there is a mini boss in front of me, I always put out Sebastian and activate my ultimate, and Sebastian is going to do that. He's going to hyper beam the fuck out of the target that you have. I'm going to use that time because I'm immortal, so I don't fucking care if I get hit a lot. I'm going to make use of that time to also attack the enemy. So this thing does not only give you a special attack with Sebastian, it gives you an opening for you and your teammates to actually greet. Greeting is pretty OP if you are not supposed to die, you know? It's going to be pretty strong. And now, those are things that you are going to be thinking by yourself as you play the game more and more. But yeah, all of this is advice that you can use to start learning the game. Remember, don't get rid of her weapon and try to learn at your own pace. Don't pay too much attention to whatever people say is strong or whatever people say is the stronger thing available, because they may be right, but it may not be the right time for you to use it. Anyway, my name is Oppression. If you like the video, please subscribe and leave me a comment if you have some sort of advice or anything to say. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye bye.